Hello and welcome. I'm Bruce and this is Speed Kolor. Well, if you've seen Mac and I, and if you watched our first episode introducing the podcast, you're probably wondering, what the hell do these two guys have in common? Mac is about 35 years younger than I am. He's a good-looking man, full head of hair, a voice for podcasting. I don't have much of any of those qualities. So you're probably thinking, wow, how did these guys get connected? It's pretty simple. We share a love of motorcycles. I would say that it's deeply rooted in old school choppers. That's where a lot of our common ground is. So that's where what we share. It's our passion, and we decided that together we could share our passion and the passion of our guests with you and provide you with information, entertainment, and maybe even some inspiration. So, without further ado, I am going to get into interviewing my co-host, Mr. Mac Manning. When I met Mac, I met him at the Harley-Davidson dealership, and as soon as I met him, I thought, you know, there's something different about this guy. He was sharp, he was helpful without being pushy, knows his stuff, and just had a real way with customers and a real sense of customer service as I saw it. And that made him stand out to me. Going into this podcast, one thing I thought is nobody wants to see me on screen for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever. I need a co-host. I need somebody to assist me, to offer a different perspective. And also, as we move into interviewing guests, I wanted somebody who contrasted me and could help with guests at a level that maybe I don't connect with them. So between the two of us, I think we're gonna make a real good team here. And I asked Mac if he would like to be my co-pilot, and he said, "Yup, don't know what we're doing, but I'm in." And together we're going to try and do this thing. So Mac, welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here every time, not just this time.
Me too.
So let's get started from the beginning. Mac, where were you born? Where were you raised? Where do you come from?
Well, Bruce, I was born and raised here in Calgary, Alberta. I was the biggest baby in the Rocky View Hospital the year I was born. So that's something special. My poor mother. Yeah, I was born and raised here. I love Calgary. You know, every city, every place has its ups and downs. Calgary's is its frigid winters. But you know, the winters lead to one thing, and that one thing is everybody gets excited about summer. So
true.
I've lived in a couple other places in my lifetime so far, and I've always kind of found my way back to Calgary. They just got good people. It's very diverse. It's a great city to live in.
Awesome. Great. Motorcycles. When did you learn that you had a passion, that you liked motorcycles? How did that evolve?
Well, it started off probably when I was younger, seeing bikes on the road, doing road trips with the family and everything. Always wanted to kind of be a part of that in some way, shape, or form. But as I got older, it more or less came into a desire to go against the grain. So my family, my mother especially, she always said no motorcycles, no, nothing till the day I die. So, you know, for a 16, 17-year-old boy, that's pretty much going to force you to go in the exact opposite direction. So one day one time my parents went on vacation, and they came home and opened the garage to my nice red R6 that I had at the garage. So they were not very happy with me, to say the least, at that time. So, you know, that's pretty much how it all started. I got into it with a sport bike, and I feel like lots of people do, actually. But shortly after, like probably within a season, maybe just over a season, after having a couple of close calls due to lack of experience and overconfidence and just honestly way too much power, I got rid of it and immediately got into something a lot older and a lot cheaper, which was a Suzuki GS 650, and I bought it for $600, and you know, I'm mechanically inclined, but that's about the extent of my experience with cars, motorcycles, anything combustion engine. So I took it apart, watched YouTube, figured out things on my own via trial and error, and eventually, after taking it to a shop to do some structural things like welding and a couple of wiring things that I couldn't figure out, I had this pretty cool little ice racing bobber hardtail of a bike. And in all honesty, that's how this started for me in terms of having the passion for these custom bikes, because everywhere I went, people are like, what is that? That's right. So unique, like that's so cool. It's like most of my friends, when I offered them to give it a ride, they refused to even get on it because it was weird looking. It was scary. It had a jockey shift. It was not a safe bike per se, but you know, that, in all honesty, that kind of makes these things fun, and that's kind of why I love the chopper stuff. Is it's not perfect, it's not pretty, it's something that you just make it work, and I love that.
Awesome. But help me out as an old guy. What the hell's an R6?
An R6, mine was a 2005, I think, Yamaha R6, which was
that's a Yamaha product.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's a sport bike. You know, it's not up to the extent of the leader bikes, but it's fast, it's nimble, it's well, it was a lot of fun, but also very scary to learn on.
Right.
But yeah, definitely a good time.
And the other thing, just to clarify while we're here, what is the difference, or is there a difference, between a jockey shift and a suicide shift?
Yes, there actually is. There is a difference. So a jockey shift is virtually a half of a suicide shifter. You have no more clutch on the left-hand side where your hand would be on the handlebar. You've now moved that clutch to pretty much a bar that you put on the shifter spline itself. So then you would compress that clutch, and at the same time you would move that bar forward and back to shift it. Versus a suicide shifter has a foot clutch like a car. So right. you would compress your foot down, and then you would have a little bar at the back connected to your transmission to shift it either up or down. Right. That would be the difference between a jockey and a suicide, is those two things: foot clutch and still a clutch on a lever. Okay,
so a jockey shift really leaves your left foot with nothing to do other than hold on.
Yeah, I don't necessarily recommend it. I recommend a suicide shifter over the jockey shifter, and I know that sounds counterproductive, but I've been in a couple of sketchy situations where I got an emergency situation and I had to have a quick reaction time, and with a clutch lever on your shifter, you needed to come to a quick stop. You had right. one hand on your handlebar and right. trying to, balance it all while you're coming to a stop. Versus a suicide shifter, slam that clutch in with your foot, have both hands on the steering and your foot on the brake, and that's it. So
see, and here's another difference between Mac and I that we may be finding out is practicality. I like a foot shifter just because I think it's cool, and I really hadn't considered all the safety aspects of it. But I think a foot clutch is cool. So perhaps, I doubt it, but perhaps Mac is more practical than I am. But We'll see as we go if that's the case.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Oh, excuse me. So currently you're working at Calgary Harley-Davidson.
Correct.
And you are a chrome consultant.
Yes.
Tell us more about a chrome consultant.
Well, in my opinion, it's a interesting name for the job title. But realistically, what I do is I will assist the customer to build the bike of their dreams. And at this moment in this industry, in this time, at Calgary Harley-Davidson, it's lots of baggers. So the big touring, big fairing, saddlebag kind of bikes. So people are changing them into what they call a performance bagger. So you lift it on front and rear, you put big motor, big power, you make it a massive handling machine. And they just started these bagger league races. That's
I was just going to say bagger league racing.
Yeah, so that's kind of what people are trying to make for themselves, are these sport bike speed baggers. And you know, before my chopper, I actually had an 02 Road Glide. This was about 6-7 years ago that I did the performance bagger on. So I had the tall T-bars, I lifted it, the suspension, the front and rear, and it was a lot of fun. Like it's a pretty unique feeling when you go riding with a bunch of your sport bike friends and you are overtaking them on the inside of a corner with this 1,000-pound machine versus them on this 300 or 400-pound sport bike.
Right.
It blew a lot of minds, and it was a big ego boost, in all honesty.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you get away from it?
Too expensive.
Okay.
Like realistically, when it came down to it, everything costed $1,000, whether it's just the smallest thing or a big thing. A minimum of $1,000. With the chopper stuff, I knew going back into it was going to be more affordable, because I've obviously built that older 650 for a couple $1,000. So it was easier to get into, and the personalization of it was much different compared to a performance bagger.
Good. Excellent. So this is probably, this question is more selfish than anything, thinking about my podcast. So what's your plans for Calgary? You sticking around for a while or what?
I think so. Like I said earlier, I've moved to a couple of different places in my lifetime, and kind of always made my way back here. So due to, you know, Calgary's just a good city. You can make money here. You can make a name for yourself. It's up and coming in a lot of ways in a lot of industries. So I can't see myself living anywhere permanently other than Calgary for the foreseeable future anyways.
Cool. Good to have you here.
Happy to be here.
What are you currently riding?
I currently ride a 94 Sportster 883. But I've obviously changed that in its entirety. So it's a 94 Sportster that I've cut in half, put a rigid frame on it. It's virtually what they call a lane splitter chopper. So what that is it's a small bike that you make as skinny or as thin as humanly possible. So it's got some taller T-bars that are no wider than 24 inches when your standard handlebar is about 33 to 36 inches in width. So you are riding in a very narrow position, and the style came from San Francisco. So these choppers could split all of the traffic that you have to deal with in San Francisco. Obviously in Calgary and most of Canada, lane splitting is illegal, but you make it happen sometimes, and it's more or less an aesthetic of the bike. Cool.
What are your plans for the bike? And I guess a little update. You said it's an 883. You have recently upgraded it to a 1200 or 1250?
Yes, a 1200. So yes, I had an 883, and you know, I bought this bike sight unseen for a couple $1,000. Had no history, don't even know the kilometers on it in all honesty. So it was a risk buying it, and you know, I rode it for just about a full season before I blew up the original motor, that 883. So this season I did put a S&S 1200 kit in it, just the top end kit without the heads, and it made the world of a difference. It feels like it almost doubled the power of the bike. You know, you can wheelie in first and second gear. That's the kind of stuff I like. That's the kind of stuff I miss from the sport bike, is having that kind of capability when you want it. And now that I've been riding for over a decade, you have experience, you have some knowledge, and you have just a little bit more self-control over that power.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. And I understand you're looking at some top end work now, some head work. You got a couple things you want to resolve, issues you want to get out of the way.
Well, my only complaint with the Sportster is its lack of low end power. All of the Harleys that I've ridden, all the V-twins that I've ridden, they're all just more or less a muscle car on two wheels. So low end power, low end torque. It's just more usable in the city. And Sportsters are more of a sport bike power band, so they have top end. And that's all fine and dandy, but I just personally don't like to rev out the motors very much. I like to have fun at lower speeds from stop and go. You know, it's just a bar hopper. So you just go bar to bar, restaurant to restaurant, you know, have some fun on it. It's not a long touring, you know, comfortable motorcycle. So
cool.
mm-hmm.
Good. Your tastes do change over time, and you did talk about, you know, having a bagger, that whole deal. There's the FXR thing going on. Now you're on a chopper. Are you have you found a home yet, or are you going to go further with this? What's next after the Sporty is done? And again, I understand that you're thinking about paint this winter and doing some stuff with it. Mm-hmm. How far do you go with it, and then what's the next thing to conquer?
Well, it really comes down to, like, once again, going against the grain. When I did my performance bagger, it was, you know, 6-7 years ago. This is before the bagger racing leagues. This is really before anybody was really doing it. So in some way, shape, or form, I felt unique on that motorcycle because just it was around, but just not as popular as it is today. So like I said, I got back into the chopper industry to save a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, there's just so much customization, personalization, and the devil is in the small details in a chopper. It'll look like a regular bike, obviously chopper style bike, but once you get into it is where you really start noticing the extent of the individual that built this bike, the thought, the heart, the passion, everything that went into the bike it's a little bit more than just a paint job, because all of this stuff on these bikes have to realistically be built from scratch and installed in a way that a manufacturer didn't necessarily intend it to do so. So I believe that I have settled on the chopper bobber sort of style. From this point, it'll just be catering to my own needs and what I feel like I want out of a motorcycle. So like I said, the Sports doesn't have a very good capability of long cruises. So my next thing will be to build a chopper that can handle that as well.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here's a question for you, and again, this will always change with time. But right now, what build have you seen out there that you really wish you had done?
There's so many. I'm not very good with names, so I can't recall specific bike builder names or anything like that. But it just comes realistically when I see a shovel chopper, that is the embodiment of what I want out of a chopper. Except I do love the shovel motors, but like I said, I'm kind of a speed freak, so I need a little bit more than that. But at the end of the day, I see most shovel choppers, whether that's, you know, a more bobber style thing with a more stock front end, or a chopper style that is just, you know, 10 feet extended front end, whatever. I love them all. So if I can have a balance of that old school chopper that I just really love, and put a newer, more modernized and powerful motor into that, that's kind of my end goal with my future bike.
I'm thinking of your buddy Reed's bike.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's cool.
That thing is a beautiful bike. It is I think an 87 shovel or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the last years of the shovel head. And yeah, he's just done an amazing job building that. Yeah, it's gorgeous with the suicide shifter, with the narrow little V-bars. It's a great little bike. It is.
Okay, given your love of choppers, what's your favorite front end style?
Anything long, anything extended, anything. Whether that be a Springer front end, a solid front end, or just extended fork tubes on your stock triple trees, anything long, I'm immediately attracted to. Like
And yours is extended fork tubes.
Mine is extended 8 inches, so
Okay.
it is raked back quite a bit, and that's just the way I like it. So in the future, the dream bike probably will have a Springer front end that's extended anywhere from 12 to 20 inches.
Nice.
That would be the goal.
Yeah. How long does that make the bike overall? And I understand rake is going to change that and everything, but typically with a front end that long, what does it give you for an overall length?
I don't even think I'd be able to give you an honest answer.
We'll have to do some research on that one. Yeah,
we will, because like extending the front end of mine 8 inches feels like it extended the length of that bike a lot more than 8 inches. So that would be something we'd have to look into and see exactly what happens. Because yes, I just extended the fork tube, so technically no rake or trail has been changed at all. It's just the extension of the fork tubes themselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking the other day, and not that it matters. This is about you. I am a drag racer. I have a love for pro stock bikes. We were talking, and the salt flats came up, and I noticed a glimmer in your eye, kind of, you know, your facial expression perked up. Racing wise, anything of interest to Mac?
100%. There's a very large part of me that's always believed that I should be racing something, whether that be cars, motorcycles. It doesn't really matter. I do feel like there's a deep drive to race something. So whether that be a drag race on a motorcycle or laps around a track on a motorcycle or car, one day I will make that happen. 100%.
Cool.
Absolutely.
We might do that together. You never know.
That sounds like
You
a great
never know.
episode.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here so that I stay on track. Yeah, that's great. That gives us a lot of background on you and your ability. You're obviously very knowledgeable about the custom bike scene. You did hit on something that we can mention here. Part of what we will be looking at doing with the podcast is exploring all the different genres of custom bike, if we can call it that. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on with cafe racers, bobbers, choppers, baggers. It's just so much. And we do plan on getting into all those different styles at some point. And explore that and talk to some of the people who are involved in these different styles of custom bikes. Mm-hmm. But you have a good, well-rounded background, so I think that's going to help. That's going to be good.
Absolutely.
We wanted to try something with our guests, and Mac's going to be our guinea pig here. We're going to take a shot at him first. We thought it'd be fun in these interviews to have something that we're looking for a better name for, but right now we'll call it the lightning round. Just some quick questions, straight, simple answers, yes, no, one word kind of thing. We thought this might be fun. So let's give it a try and see what happens. And again, forgive me, I'm going to refer to my notes because I certainly don't have all of this memorized yet. But let's try the lightning round, Mac.
Let's give it a go.
Favorite thing to eat?
Pizza.
Pizza, there you go. Favorite beverage?
Alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Favorite beverage?
Milkshake.
There you go. Good one. Good one. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Your favorite color?
I'll probably get in trouble for this one, but black.
Oh.
Definitely.
Black is the presence of all colors, so that's a good answer. Spokes or mags?
That's actually a tougher one. I would say mags, though, at the end of the day.
All right. Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Briefs, okay. Favorite ride?
Favorite ride is in motorcycle?
As in landscape out there, highway.
Anything with twisties. As many corners and as tight as you can make them. The goal is to double the speed limit intended for that corner.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. You and I haven't done a lot of riding together yet, so that's good to know. I'm going to need to be aware of that. The place you most want to ride?
New Zealand.
Oh, good one. Good one. Electric start or kicker?
Preferably have both.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But if you had to make a decision?
Electric. Kicker is the coolest. You look like a badass, but if that thing shuts off at a light and that bike's already warm, you'll be kicking that guy for quite some time.
Helmet-wise, full face, 3/4, or half?
At least 3/4. I'm not a big fan of half helmets.
That's fair. Leather, denim, or textile?
Leather all the way.
Leather all the way.
Always.
Preferred oil brand?
In my opinion, as long as there's oil in your bike, I'm good. So at the moment, Harley Davidson.
Synthetic or conventional?
Conventional.
Conventional.
Absolutely.
And finally, chrome and polished kind of falls under chrome. Chrome or black?
In terms of motorcycles, chrome. I believe that there's just way too much black on these motorcycles nowadays. Everybody and their dog wants to just black out their bike. So
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I have a bike that is black and mostly blacked out, and it's cool enough. But boy, oh boy, I like chrome, and we may get to show you that. I'm sure we'll get to show you that in a future episode.
Absolutely.
But yes,
Absolutely.
chrome plans for your bike?
There's a lot of chrome plans for the bike. I'd like to chrome the entire frame.
I was just going to say, chrome frame, is that cool or not?
I would love that one day. That'll be on the next bike. Not on the Sporty, but on the next chopper for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely.
Very good, sir. All right. Well, I think we've learned lots about Mac. And we've learned a little bit more about the podcast and things we're doing, so that's good. I think this is just about a wrap for today. In our next episode, though, we're going to turn the tables here, and Mac gets to interview me. That'll be coming up in a couple of weeks, and we sure hope you join us. We are having fun doing this. We want to do this a lot more, and as long as we have people out there who want to listen or watch, I think we'll keep going.
I think so. That sounds like a good plan.
Any wrap-up comments,
looking forward to see you guys on the next one where you can watch me stumble with my words while I interview Bruce.
So what I read into that is Bruce just stumbled with his words through this episode. But
it took a little pressure off, but yes.
And Mac and I will have it out about that off camera or off mic. But anyway, whatever. It's fun. It's good. Yeah, good to get to know Mac some more. We'll join you in a couple of weeks, and I'll be on the hot seat.
Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and shoot us a comment if you want us to mention anything,
Absolutely.
talk about anything. Or
Yeah.
We'll listen. I'm excited to see what comes from it.
Excellent. Thanks for watching or listening to Speed and Color. We'll see you soon.
See you later.